Hey, good morning. It's Captain Roger. Let's go for a walk. So I noticed something interesting about Jacob's walk with God, or at least something I think is interesting. Maybe the rest of you will think it's interesting. We'll find out. Jacob goes and spends 20 years with his uncle. And during that time, his walk shows up here and there. Like most of us, he's willing to acknowledge God at least a little bit in the blessings that he receives. Gives him a little lip service, as it were. Yeah, God did this for me. God did that for me. Kind of afterthoughts, it almost seems like. I mean, obviously, since he was trying to use magic to change the sheep being born to match the kind that he arranged to receive as his wages, he's not really trusting in God. But at least he's maybe recognizing a little bit that God is there. But then God shows up. And we're not told exactly how God shows up. God calls him to leave. Tells him to go back home to the land that he came from. And this causes a little introspection for Jacob, a little evaluation of his life, where he's been. He sees that God has been faithful to him. And God has walked faithfully along with him, just like he promised he would. And so at this point, as he's trying to gather people together, gather his family together to leave, he calls his wives, tells them about not only God's call, but he also tells them about a dream that he had at another time, where an angel of the Lord came and explained to him that his silly magic sticks weren't actually changing the baby sheep or goats into spotted and striped ones, but that God was controlling which animals were mating with which, so that they would end up with whatever kind of livestock it is that Jacob had arranged to get to keep after they were born. So by the time Jacob is trying his trick to restripe the babies in their mother's wombs, God's saying, look, I already solved the problem. You should just quit that. Now, what I find particularly interesting about this particular passage is the understanding of genetics as a tool to build a better herd. I mean, ancient people were not dumb. I'm sure that they had more than understood that when you have stronger animals mate, you end up with stronger babies. But as Jacob's effort showed, they didn't really understand the way that genes were shared between parents. This is not surprising, given that we've really only started to figure this stuff out in recent times, you know. In fact, even now, there are an awful lot of folks who claim that their faith drives them to disregard any notion of evolution. But here in Scripture, in Genesis, the very first book, we've got God explaining his role as the driving force in creating a superior species of goat through genetic manipulation. That's something. So I think as we walk with God, we need to remember that being God, by definition, means he's always beyond definition. God is always bigger than our box or our label suggests. Being God means he is beyond human understanding. Now, that's a pretty big thought for a short walk. So I think I'm going to need to chew on that for a bit while I finish up my walk today. Grace and peace to you all.